welcome back to the channel. So today we are going to talk about intuition. How do we follow our intuition, our inner voice? So intuition is knowing, not thinking. It comes from a place that is beyond the mind. It doesn't operate in the realm of thought, and the realm of thought is the realm of ego. So it is not something which is physical in nature, which is logical, which is practical from the perspective of ego. It is nonsensical. It makes no sense when it comes to the physical nature. It transcends the physicality. That is why it's very hard to make sense of intuition from the human perception, from linear perception. Because existence is not linear. It is multidimensional, it is quantum. But we think the way we perceive things, the way we see things, that's the only reality. But in fact, it is a very small fragment of reality, what we call reality. To show you how little we know, let me give you an example, which is scientifically proven. In fact, it is a fact that through our human eyes, we can only see 1% of this light spectrum. Everything that we see, that is only 1%. There's a lot going on. If we see it through another instrument, like we can't see X-rays, we can't see ultraviolet rays, but they are there. We can't even see the Wi-Fi that we are using, but they are there. So this shows that our instruments, the physical vessels instruments, the five senses, they are limited. They have a limitation. You can't trust in intuition from your ego. It will always be in fear when it comes to the intuition. Which brings me to the point that it's not about what's coming from intuition and what's coming from fear. It's about following that voice. That's the most important thing. If you want to be a person who follows their intuition, you will have to have the courage to follow your heart. Because intuition is on the other side of fear, on the other side, beyond the mind. So you will have to find that will within yourself, the courage to follow the heart. And it is very subtle. It is a knowing. It is not loud like the thought. Thought is always loud. Thought sucks you right in. But intuition is subtle. That you know, okay, I gotta do this. This is the action I need to take. I need to go from this place right now. The subtle knowing, that inner voice. So you have to have the courage to follow, because if you question it, the mind will come right in and it will tell you that what if this is not right. So ego always thinks in terms of right and wrong, but your higher self doesn't think that way. There is no right and wrong. They are just experiences. Whatever happens to you, the moment you label it good and bad, you are creating that good and bad. An experience is just an experience. So the moment you label an experience good, you have created a bad experience for yourself. But the higher self, the universe, the existence is very neutral. It is not polarized. It is non-dual. In Sanskrit, it is called Advait, which literally means that there is no second. It doesn't mean non-duality. It means there is no second. And they are not even saying that there is only one. They're simply saying that there are no two. So they are directing towards something. They are pointing towards something which is beyond the grasp of the mind. So you have to understand that what your intuition might make you do, it might be bad from the perspective of ego. Maybe it wants you to let go of certain toxic friendships, certain job, certain relationship, anything which is not good for you, but you are addicted to it. Your ego is attached to it. So from the lens of the ego, you're doing something bad. You're outgrowing the past. You're letting go of the past. But in truth, you're doing something else. You're simply changing your frequency station. It means you're vibrating higher. The moment you make a different choice, you completely change your frequency. Every choice you make is constantly shifting your reality. So let's just say there are two versions of yourself, and one always listens to the fears and never takes the leap of faith to trust something higher. So it will vibrate at a very different frequency, which will be dominantly governed by fear because it never had the courage. On the other hand, you have a version of yourself that always follows the intuition, that always follows the heart. It will always make a choice that is aligned with the higher self. And because of the choices, it will become a very different version. So you have no time to think this is good, this is bad, this is right, this is wrong. You just have to follow it, and whatever happens, you have to learn from it. Just think about it. If you keep thinking what is right and what is wrong, a lot of times it happens that we never take any action. We never choose anything, we just stay stagnant. If you take the right decision, okay. But when you make a wrong decision, that's where the growth is. You will learn something from that. If you look back, you will see that most of the things that you have learned, you learned from your bad experiences, from the wrong choices, the so-called wrong choices. From the higher perspective, those wrong choices evolved you the most. So who are we to say what's right, what's wrong? Because the next moment, what you call the most bad experience may turn out the best experience, because it made you wiser. It expanded your consciousness. So you just have to follow your intuition. And as you will start doing that, you will start operating from a higher space, from a higher consciousness. You will no longer operate from fears of the ego. And the more you follow it, the better it gets. Because then you're connected to that higher energy. And the knowing keeps getting stronger. But the more you question it and the more you buy into the fears, the more you live in fear. It's that simple. It's like a butterfly effect, a snowball effect. Whatever you do, it starts strengthening. So it won't make sense logically. It can't. Because you're trying to understand something beyond your senses, with your limited senses, which is beyond logic, through your logic. And you don't have to convince anyone that something is like this, that I just know what I have to do. It's not about others, it's about you. Do you have the courage? Do you have the will to follow your intuition over your fears? And if you follow it, if something goes downhill, can you see that it is happening for your own good? So drop this notion that following the inner voice, following your intuition is always going to turn out good, because that's also ego. Good and bad, duality. Intuition can really eliminate everything that you are not aligned with, and it will not be good from the lens of ego. Ego is very short-sighted. It doesn't have a big vision. It can't see the bigger picture, because there is a higher force at play here. Things are not just physical. Everything that you see physically, which is still, it's actually pure energy, which is dancing. That's what quantum physics tells us. That even a chair, which we feel is simply material, it's actually pure energy. So what is true? What is right? What is wrong? What is illusion? What is reality? It depends on from which lens you are looking at life. If you look from the lens of fear, everything becomes fearful. You will never be able to make a choice that is aligned with your higher self, that is aligned with your greatest potential. But if you listen to those little subtle knowings that come within you, in no time you will start quantum jumping, because you just completely stop existing at one point and you become something else. That's the power of your multidimensional self. Now the thing is that what can we do to strengthen our intuition? Now we realize that intuition is supposed to be followed. We have to drop the label that intuition is always good, because it can lead to the elimination of everything that your ego is attached to. So it might not be also good. When we see in the long run, it can benefit you, but we don't have to follow the intuition from that perspective. It's about following your heart, following your core nature, your being. It's about that. So the thing that you can do for strengthening it is definitely connecting with yourself, with your pure energy, which means being in solitude. When you are always listening to other people's opinions, especially the collective unconscious, you are connecting to the thought forms that are unconscious. You're literally hooked up on the matrix. So all the thought forms that you will have, that will be based on fear, control, manipulation. But when you disconnect from all the outside influence and you connect to your internal energy, that's when you become the source of information, which comes from the beyond, not from the unconscious collective. So this is why solitude is important, that you stay in your own energy, uninfluenced by any outside authority, source of information. No one is telling you what to do, especially the opinions of your friends, family, but making your own choices. And what you do in solitude, that's completely natural, that's completely authentic. It should be authentic. It depends person to person. For example, for me, it can be going into meditation, sitting in nature, simply reading the books that I feel the most aligned with, that my soul calls out to. So it depends person to person. It can be for someone to do something creative, simply sitting with themselves and writing, journaling. Get to know yourself. The more you know yourself, the more you know that how can you enjoy solitude. Otherwise, for people who don't know themselves, solitude is loneliness. They don't even know how to just stay with themselves. They get bored. They are trying to escape themselves. And another thing is that the way the society is structured, it focuses more on your logical aspect. It focuses more on the part of your brain that is logical, practical, ego. It doesn't focus on the part of the brain which is creative, which is intuitive. So we have to literally unlearn our conditioning. That is why we have so much fear, so much ego, because we are conditioned like that, we are programmed like that. We are programmed to not be able to access our intuition. How messed up is that? We are programmed to be disconnected from our creative nature, because this society benefits from people who obey, who don't question anything, who just keep on producing, who are like machines, who don't have a soul in them. That's just the truth. That's why they don't want you to focus on the part of the brain that is creative, that is intuitive. And intuition doesn't come from the brain. That's not what I mean. It simply means that you are able to surrender, you are able to let go, and you become open to the energy of intuition, of knowingness. Brain is just the physical aspect. It is part of the body, it is part of the thought form, the physical realm. It acts as a receiver. It acts not as the transmitter. The transmitter is from the beyond. Your brain is simply the receiver of that information. But are you even connected to that receiver? And that happens when you let go. The ego can't let go. The ego is always in mode of control. So intuition is also letting go, flowing, and trusting, and having the courage to follow your heart. So just follow your intuition, your inner voice, instead of making sense out of it, because it will be always nonsensical to your ego. Everything which is your nature, everything which is organic, everything that comes naturally to you, for the ego, it will be nonsensical. That's how upside down everything is in the world that we live in. So trust your intuition, not the collective unconscious thought forms. So I hope you enjoyed this video. You can like, comment, and share with your friends. And thank you for subscribing. Much love to you all.